Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girid Bharadari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girid Bharadari. Yashoda Nandana Praja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Praja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaur Hari Bo. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Lord Premanande, Haribo. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prestaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityam. Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvisesha Shunyavadi, Paschachate Satari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so we're reading the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and we were hearing how Narada Muni is searching for the person who has received the greatest mercy from the Lord. And he has come to Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma was telling him that he was not the greatest person, but he should go to Lord Shiva. So Narada Muni came to Kailash, and he meets with Lord Shiva there. And he sees Lord Shiva in ecstasy of love of God. And he's so ecstatic, he's chanting and dancing, but at the same time he's naked. And so this is something of the unusual behavior of Lord Shiva, that although he's with his consort, with his wife, Gauri, but at the same time, he's naked. But he's in ecstasy of love of God. He's just displaying all the symptoms of ecstatic love for the Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So Lord Shiva is certainly a very unusual character, but we should never understand him to be an ordinary soul, that he's on the level of the Supreme Lord. And we were telling in previous class how he very cleverly took a blessing from the Lord that he could be greater than the Lord. And by being greater than the Lord, this was ensured that he's the devotee of the Lord. Because in order to be greater than the Lord, The only way you can be greater than the Lord is by being his devotee. The devotees, they're greater than the Lord. The Lord Shiva and Parvati, because they're greater than the Lord gave them the power to give liberation. Now, nobody usually gives liberation except Lord Vishnu, but Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati, they're able to give liberation. That is the special blessing which they had received. See, where were we? So Narada Muni says, it says, no wonder Krishna loves you the most, because you're so devoted to him. You have such pure devotion. By the mercy of Lord Shiva's consort, Mother Parvati, many other people have also become devoted to Lord Krishna. She knows in detail the true nature of both Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva. So that is described in some scriptures, how Mother Parvati gives mercy to people. Because she's the consort of Lord Shiva, she knows everything about her husband. And because she is the energy of the Supreme Lord, because she's in control of the material nature, she's under the direction of the Supreme Lord. And she moves, of course, like the shadow under the direction of the Supreme Lord. So she knows everything about the Lord and about Lord Shiva, both them. And by that, people who take shelter of her, if they actually take shelter of Mother Parvati, then they will go on and become devotees. So the relationship, of course, of Mother Parvati, she is none different from Yoga Maya. Just like Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, when Mother Yashoda gave birth, she gave birth to actually two children. One was Lord Krishna and one was a daughter. So that daughter, that was actually Yoga Maya. And that child, when Vasudev came over from Kamsa's prison house, he came over from the prison house of Kamsa to Gokula carrying baby Krishna, and he left baby Krishna there. Vasudev and Devaki, they had brought Vasudev Krishna. So that form of Vasudev Krishna entered into the child who Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda had delivered, who was Shyam Sundar Krishna. So the Vasudev Krishna form is subordinate to Shyam Sundar Krishna. So that entered into the form of Shyam Sundar Krishna. So the two boys became one. And Vasudev took the girl, that girl Subhadra, he took that girl away. And he went back to Mathura and to the prison house of Kamsa. And then Kamsa came. And Kamsa, of course, he wanted to kill the child. And he tried to kill the child, but the child rose up in the air to reveal was a goddess. So this goddess is actually Parvati. This is the form of Parvati, or that came from the form of an expansion of Mother Yashoda's child. So this way, you can see Parvati is like Krishna's sister in a way, because Lord Krishna is the son of Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, and this girl is Parvati. So Mother Parvati always receives the affection of Lord Krishna, because naturally a brother will always be affectionate to his sister. And Narada Muni said, even though you're fully satisfied in yourself, but still you care for your sister. And Narada Muni says to Lord Shiva that you give pleasure to her by always singing wonderful songs and holding festivals and singing the names of Lord Vishnu, recitation of his glories. At that time, she enjoys the company of Lord Vishnu's devotees. So Narada Muni is glorifying Mother Parvati in this way. But Narada Muni is glorifying Lord Shiva in this way. Lord Shiva is not comfortable with this. He feels embarrassed to hear all of his glories. And he wants to cover the mouth of Narada Muni. So he says to Narada Muni, he said, this is very painful for me to hear this. It's painful for me. He said, I'm not free of pride. How can you compare me? I'm the root of all pride to Krishna. Lord Krishna is the Lord. He's Narada Muni. Lord Shiva said, Lord Krishna is the Lord of prideless anger. Prideless sages. Prideless sages. He's worshipped by the sages who have no ego. Now, Lord Shiva, he himself is the Lord of Ahankar. And Lord Shiva says he himself is full of Ahankar. Although he's actually the Lord of Ahankar, but he's saying to Narada Muni that I am full of this Ahankar. I always think I'm the doer. Just like Lord Brahma was saying, he has that problem also. He's thinking he's the creator. So sometimes even Lord Shiva is thinking also that he's the Supreme Lord. So Lord Shiva is saying, I'm not without pride. I have a lot of pride in me. But Lord Krishna, he doesn't have any pride. So it's not that I'm like Krishna. We're totally opposite. Krishna's without pride, and Lord Shiva said, I'm full of pride. So you're glorifying me that I'm without pride, but he said, I'm covered by so many false identities. I consider myself the Lord, the all-knowing giver of knowledge, the liberated bestower of liberation, the greatest, the devoted grantor of devotion for Vishnu. So Lord Shiva is refuting the arguments of Narada Muni, saying, no, no, look, I'm a very fallen soul. Don't think I'm very special. And look what I do. I annihilate the universe. From Lord Shiva comes a form of Rudra, and that form of Rudra does the work of annihilation at the end of the universe. So that I'm obliged by the mode of ignorance to destroy the cosmos. And Lord Shiva says, when I think of this, I feel ashamed. Of course, Lord Shiva only does this under the order of the Supreme Lord. Just like Lord Brahma, he's ordered to do creation. Lord Shiva is also ordered to do annihilation. When the time comes, the Lord will tell him, now is the time for and Lord Shiva will begin the work of annihilation. Lord Shiva said, if I had a drop of mercy of Lord Hari, why did he fight me when he took away the Parijata flower? And when Aniruddha stole Usha, and on other such occasions. So we know that Lord Shiva, he would fight when Indra came, when Lord Krishna took Satyabhama to the heavenly planets to get the Parijata flower. At that time, Indra fought, and Lord Shiva also fought. He tried to help Indra to keep the Parijata flower there. So Lord Shiva, he fights against Krishna sometimes, and then again when Usha and Aniruddha, we told that story before about Aniruddha going to be with Usha, and then Banasura finding out, and Banasura, the father of Usha, he arrested Aniruddha, put him in prison, and Narada Muni goes to Dwarka and tells Lord Krishna what happened. So Lord Krishna comes with his army, and they have a big fight against Banasura's army. And Lord Shiva, he resides there at Banasura's kingdom, taking care of Banasura's kingdom. That was the benediction given, because Banasura plays the Madanga for Lord Shiva, so Lord Shiva can dance in the kirtan. So Banasura asked Lord Shiva to remain there, to guard his kingdom. And Lord Shiva did it. And when Krishna came with his army, there's a great fight. And you have Ganesh fighting and Kartikeya fighting, and they're fighting against Krishna's children like Pradyumna and Satyaki, Krishna's army, the commander. They're all fighting against the army of Banasura. It was a wonderful battle. The demigods fight, well, Lord Krishna's Yadu dynasty fighting against Banasura and all his people headed by Lord Shiva and everyone. And even Banasura, Lord Shiva fires his the Shiva Dwara weapon, which makes everything hot, tries to burn everything, burns everything. But Lord Krishna released the Narayana Dwara weapon, which froze everything. So Lord Shiva's weapon was burning everything, but Lord Krishna's weapon was freezing everything. And the Narayana Dwara weapon came to the words of the Shiva Dwara weapon. And the Shiva Dwara weapon is fire, but the cold was putting out the fire. So the Shiva Dwara weapon was losing its power. It was being frozen. It said, we can tolerate heat, but we cannot tolerate intense cold. When it gets very hot, you know, sometimes it'll get very hot, 50 degrees and 50 plus, but still work goes on, everything goes. But when it gets really cold, everything stops. You know, when it goes, if the temperature goes down like -20, -30, -40, In some parts of the world like that. And so practice is very difficult. Everything just stops. So Lord Krishna's weapon, he released Narayana Jwara. It froze the Shiva Jwara weapon. And the Shiva Jwara weapon had to surrender. And Lord Shiva had to come. And then Lord Krishna was cutting off the arms of Banasura, because Banasura had become very proud because of all of his arms. Nobody could fight him. So Lord Krishna was cutting off his arms. And at that time, Lord Shiva came and he prayed. And so Lord Krishna left him with 4 arms. And said, now, Lord Krishna also gave Banasura a benediction that he could be an eternal associate of Lord Shiva. So he doesn't suffer old age and disease. And he can live with Banasura. He can live with Lord Banasura can live with Lord Shiva. And he associates and serves Lord Shiva by the blessing of Lord Krishna. So Lord Shiva was, he said, this is, just look at my ignorance. He said that I fight with Krishna on these different occasions. Why would he worship? He said, why would he worship me? He, his servant, and why would he order me? Turn people away from me by concocting your own version of scripture. So here, Lord Shiva is referring to the fact that he was ordered by the Lord to preach the impersonal Mayavada philosophy. And we know how Shankaracharya came. Shankaracharya is the incarnation of Lord Shiva. And he preached this impersonal philosophy. Then it said he was ordered to do it by the Lord. Mayavada asatchastram prachanam bodham uchate. Mayava vihitam devi. Kalo brahmana. Okay, so in the Kali Yuga, Lord Shiva is ordered that he should preach this Mayavada philosophy. And this Mayavada philosophy is described Asat Shastram. Prachanam Bodha Mujate. It's Asat Shastra. It's not Sat. It's not Sanatan Dharma. It's Asat Dharma. It's a temporary, an emergency situation. And it's Prachanam Bodham. It's covered Buddhism. Covered Buddhism. Buddhism in a disguised form. Because the Buddhists say, they say the absolute truth is 0. And Shankaracharya said the absolute truth is 1. So just a little difference, a little change. But he could bring back the Vedas. And the Buddhists say everything 0, there's nothing. And Shankaracharya said everything is 1. The Buddhists say Nepa, Nirvana, Nirvisha, Shunyavada, nothingness. But Shankaracharya, he said, he gave that everything is Brahman. There's only the one, Brahman. So the Shankaracharya, under Lord Shiva, under the order of the Supreme Lord, he took the form of Shankaracharya and preached this Mayavada philosophy to turn people away. Turn people away from the Buddhist idea. It brought back the Buddhist teachings. So this was Lord Shiva is saying, he said, this, you see, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Lord Krishna had me teach this Mayavada philosophy. And Lord Chaitanya even said Mayavada aparada, that they're the greatest offenders to Krishna, the Mayavadis. And Lord Shiva is preaching this Mayavada philosophy. So he said, where is the mercy? If Krishna is so merciful to me, why did he have me preach this Mayavada philosophy? Make me so offensive to the Lord? Because the Mayavadis say, we're all God. It's all one. So we're all God. And they say when Krishna comes in this world, he's also coming from the Brahman. They say that ultimately everything is Brahman. And so Krishna comes to this world, he's coming from the Brahman. And so this is an offense. This is offensive teaching. And Lord Shiva says to Narada Muni, he said, you're praising me and my wife because we give liberation, but this does not please the Vaishnavas. The Vaishnavas, they don't want to get liberation from me. They want to get it from the Supreme Lord, from Lord Vishnu himself. They don't want Parvati and I to give them liberation. That is not pleasing to them. So Lord Shiva then says, he said, if you really want to see people who've got the mercy of the Lord, you should go to see the residents of Vaikuntha. They're the people who've really got the mercy from the Supreme Lord. If you go into Vaikuntha, you will see the people there, how they are really recipients of the mercy of the Supreme Lord. They're all great devotees. All the people in Vaikuntha, they are the real devotees. They've really got the mercy of the Lord. They're totally fixed in the mood of being the servant. Although they have the form, although they may have the form like the Lord, their mood is to be the servant. None of them think themselves to be the supreme. They all have the mood of service to the Lord. And they're all engaged in chanting the glories of the Lord and chanting his holy name. I said, you go to Vaikuntha and you will see the people there, how they actually worship the Lord and how they are so pure. And you will see in Vaikuntha also, of course, in Vaikuntha, there's no influence of the modes of nature. They're completely without pride. There's no influence of passion or ignorance. They're totally fixed. Even they're on the Shuddha Sattva level, pure goodness, completely free of any influence of the modes of nature. And they all have forms, all of them are in, they have forms of Sat Chit Ananda, eternity, knowledge, and bliss. They all have forms like that. And for the service of the Lord, they will take different forms, like they will take the form sometimes as birds and sometimes as trees, and they can assume different forms, but whatever form they take, it's all for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. They have that power because they're residents of the spiritual world. They're actually residing there in Vaikuntha. And in Vaikuntha, everything is there. There's palaces, there's beautiful homes, there's forests and trees, there's animals and birds. Everything is there, just like this world. Lord Krishna, at some point, he revealed the spiritual world. He revealed the Vaikuntha planets. He revealed it first. Lord Brahma, when Lord Brahma was meditating from his lotus flower, he was meditating on the Lord, And after a long time, after he'd done great penances and austerities, when Lord Vishnu was pleased with him, then he revealed the spiritual world to Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma could see everything there in Vaikuntha. And another example is also there, that after Lord Krishna had picked up the Govardhan hill, then then he'd saved all the people of Vrindavan, he'd saved them all. Then the people of Vrindavan, the Brijbasi people, they approached Nanda Maharaj and they said to him, you know, this son of yours is very, very amazing, that he's done so many wonderful things, because they had seen him kill the demon Putana when he was a little baby. And they had seen him do things like swallow the forest fire, and then also dance on the hoods of Kalia serpent, and kill the different demons who Kamsa had sent there. So they said, we think your son, he must be some demigod or something. We want to know what is his identity. So at that time, Nanda Maharaj told them about Garga Muni, how Garga Muni had come there at the name-giving ceremony of his child. And he told them that this child would perform many wonderful activities, and by the grace of that child, they would cross over any dangers which may come. And then Lord Krishna came there, and Lord Krishna wanted to show the people of Vrindavan the spiritual world. And he actually revealed to them the spiritual world. And they also saw how Vaikuntha was. They saw the nature of the spiritual world by the grace of Krishna. Just like we saw Krishna give divine eyes to Arjuna to see the universal form, Lord Krishna also arranged for the people of Vrindavan to see the spiritual world. And it's described at one point, they actually see Goloka, and they saw Goloka to be none different from Vrindavan. Now the people of Vrindavan, they're living in Vrindavan, and when Krishna shows them the spiritual world, they see Vrindavan. They see their own place, the place where they live. They say, this is like where we live. He said, yes, this is the spiritual world. So this is the nature of the holy Dham. That sometimes when we go to the holy Dham, we don't appreciate that this is actually the spiritual world. Lokanath Swami Maharaj was telling us, he was talking about how after the parikrama, they would have different devotees speak and glorify the parikrama and speak about their realizations and their experiences on parikrama. So he was telling us how there was one devotee on the parikrama, and at the end of the parikrama, he said that, you know, now I can actually understand that this is the spiritual world, that this place is actually the spiritual world, the holy land. You come here to Mayapur Dham or Braja, Vrindavan Dham, it's none different from the spiritual world. Everything is there. So Lord Shiva, he wants to impress on Narada Muni that you should go to Vaikuntha. You want to see the people who got the greatest mercy from Krishna, you go to Vaikuntha and you meet the Vaikuntha Vasis. And when you meet them, you will see how they're really recipients of the mercy of the Lord. They have no passion and ignorance. They're all completely devoted to the Lord. Of course, to enter into the spiritual world, it is requires qualification. Right? We want to go back to Godhead. We also want to go to the spiritual world. What is the qualification to enter there? Well, we have to have love. We have to have love for Krishna and love for service to Krishna. Because in the spiritual world, everyone is engaged in service for Krishna. Everyone. I was talking to one man, one Buddhist monk that I know. He's actually in China. So this Buddhist monk was asking me, he said, in the spiritual world, he said, do you have women there? Because in Buddhism, you see the Buddhist monks, Buddhist men and Buddhist women who are monks, they both dress the same. And they both have the same goal, to become Buddha, right? The men want to become the Buddha, and the women also want to become the Buddha. They don't have men and women. It's only Buddhas. Everybody is a Buddha. And the Buddha is not God, and he's not man or woman, he's Buddha. So their goal, their perfection of life is to become the Buddha. So he was asking me, he said, what about in Krishna consciousness? Do you have men and women in the spiritual world? So I was telling him, yes, there are men and there are women also. Just like we know, there are gopis and there are manjaris. And there's Radharani and there's Krishna. There's men and there's also women. But the difference is there's no lust. There's no thought of sex. People are not under that kind of ignorance or influenced by that mode of nature. There's passion and ignorance, which is here in this world, which is prominent in this world. But the nature of the spiritual world, there's no passion and ignorance. But everything is pure and everything has consciousness. And it's described also like this in Srimad Bhagavatam. We can read in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we read, for example, about entering the spiritual world. The four Kumaras, when they're coming through the universe, they enter into the spiritual world. And we are told how in the spiritual world, all of the different plants and the different birds and so on, how they're all conscious, right? The different plants and so on, they're all very beautiful and aromatic, but they all appreciate Tulsi. The best of all the plants is Tulsi. And all of the different plants, they all offer their respect to Tulsi, because it's Tulsi which Lord Krishna wears around his neck. Although there are so many beautiful flowers, colorful, fragrant, with beautiful aroma, but Lord Krishna likes Tulsi more than any other flower garland. That she gets the greatest attention from Krishna because of her austerities, because of her mode of devotion. So in the spiritual world, there are many different, all different species of life are there. Everything is there. This material world, this is the perverted reflection of the spiritual world. We are enjoying the perverted reflection. But the real world is there in the spiritual sky. All the different species of life, all the living entities, they're all there. And they're all in pure consciousness of Krishna. They're all in the mood to be the servant of the Lord. And it's amazing to think that they assume, although they're pure devotees, that they will assume these different forms they will become birds and they will become trees. You know, we think tree is the mode of ignorance. We know Nala, Kuvera, and Manigriva, they were punished. They were put into the form of two big trees. They became Arjun trees, very big, tall trees. As a punishment for their lust and their degradation, they became trees. But in the spiritual world, the trees are kalpabriksha. They're very special trees, and they render very nice service for Krishna. Krishna will sometimes climb on them. Krishna will enjoy playing and swinging from the trees. And the trees also will provide fruit and shelter for Krishna. So different devotees, they desire to serve Krishna in this particular manner. And in this way, give pleasure to Krishna by their activities. So Narada Muni, he's hearing about Vaikuntha from Lord Shiva. So we will have to see. Is he going to go there? Of course, Narada, he can go to Vaikuntha. He can go. He's a Vaikuntha Vasi, actually. He is not really a Brijbasi. Narada Muni, sometimes he may go to Vrindavan, but he's more a Vaikuntha Vasi. He chants more the name of Narayan, Narayan. So anyway, he's hearing from Lord Shiva the glories of Vaikuntha. That you want to see the people who've got the greatest mercy, go to Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha, no anxiety, right? We're in the world Kuntha. This planet is all Kuntha, all anxiety. But Vaikuntha, the spiritual world, there's no anxiety. There's the impression of time, but there's no influence of time. Here in this world, time degrades everything. In the spiritual world, they have the impression of time, but there's no degradation. Nothing is wearing out. Nothing is aging. Everyone is in a form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. And it is said, everyone is young. There's no old people there. There's only young people there. That is the spiritual world. So, although everyone is young, a tendency, when people are young, they want more sense gratification. They want to enjoy more. But the nature of the spiritual world, the inhabitants of the spiritual world, is they just want service. They just want service to Krishna. And they're ready to do whatever pleases Krishna. So that is the spiritual world. Okay, are there any questions? Prabhu? They're eternal associates of Lord Shiva. Yes, right. Yeah, they're eternal associates of Lord Shiva. Like Bana and Nandeshwara and like that. You know, they're always with Lord Shiva.
Maharaj, that Krishna says, Mamaivamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. That means everyone is a part and parcel of Krishna. But how can, whether when they are having eternal association with Shiva, is it that at the same time they have some association with some Vishnu Tattva?
Well, remember Lord Shiva is not much different from Vishnu, right?
Yeah.
That he is also the incarnation of the Lord. He's also Guna avatar.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they'll be with Lord Shiva, and from Lord Shiva, they can also get path of devotion. They can also learn about bhakti, because Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava. And so it's just a matter of how they associate with Lord Shiva.
This
They're not thinking Lord Shiva is the supreme, but they understand Lord Shiva is the Guna avatar, and that he also worships the Supreme Lord. And Lord Shiva was doing his puja for Lord Sankarshan. And so they will see Lord Shiva worshipping Lord Sankarshan. They'll be learning about the Lord from Lord Shiva.
Maharaj, this ghosts and hobgoblins and all we hear, is it only in this material realm that they are associates of Lord Shiva, or in the eternal planet that is Mahesh Dham?
Well, the ghosts and the hobgoblins, yeah, they'll be that in the crematoriums. Lord Shiva goes there to the crematoriums. So these kind of creatures are there with him. They will be there with him. But Lord Shiva also helps them to get gross bodies, right? We know that people who have sex at irreligious times, Lord Shiva will place these people in ghostly bodies. He'll place them into the womb of people who are having sex at irreligious manner. So these people, that's Lord Shiva's compassion on them. He helps these ghosts to get a gross body.
This Veerabhadra and very fearsome creatures who are there, associates of Lord Shiva, they're all like eternal associates only?
They all what?
They're all eternal associates only? Veerabhadra and some fearsome.
Well, certainly Banasura was told that he should stay in the association of Lord Shiva. So Virabhadra also, of course, he's always with Lord Shiva. He's not going to be attracted to go anywhere else. Lord Shiva is the Guna avatar, and so he can give mercy to these people who are in the mode, influenced by the mode of ignorance. That's Lord Shiva's kindness, that he can give association to these people, and he can help to elevate them. By his association, they can be elevated. They can be, kept in line a bit, Virabhadra and all these different unusual personalities. They're certainly unusual personalities, but Lord Shiva is very merciful. This is why Lord Shiva is such a great devotee, because he's giving mercy to these people who are in difficult, unfortunate conditions, and he's helping them, giving them association. So by his association, they will be benefited. They associate with Lord Shiva, and if they serve Lord Shiva, then they're lived. I said, we heard also Lord Shiva is Nityasiddha, and the associates of Lord Shiva are also Nityasiddha. So they're also liberated souls because they're serving Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva is not different from the Lord. He's like Lord Vishnu, expansion of incarnation of Lord Vishnu. So Lord Shiva, if they're serving him and associating with him, they're also liberated souls.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for very patiently and detailed answer. And Maharaj, one more question. This Narad Muni, he's a Vaikunthavasi, you mentioned. Usually Vaikuntavasis, we hear that they have 4 armed forms. So, but I think Narad Muni is like exceptional, though he's a Vaikunthavasi.
Well, Narada Muni travels everywhere. He's a spaceman, right? He's the son of Lord Brahma. He's the son of Lord Brahma, and he travels everywhere. So generally his mood is more of Vaikuntha. He has that mood of being Vaikuntha, in the mood of Vaikuntha, the mood of Aishwarya, respecting the Lord. But to have four arms, that would be there when you go into the spiritual world. So it's not that he has, because he took birth as the son of Brahma, so he was given that form, which is more associated with this world, with the 2 arms. And the 4-arm form, that's for the people who are eternally residing there in Vaikuntha. We don't see too many 4-arm forms here in this world, right? In the material realm, we don't see 4-arm forms around. It's not there. But in the spiritual world, it's there. So Narada Muni has a spiritual body, you could say, because he's able to travel like that. He can go everywhere. So his 4-arm form, I don't know how about that. He doesn't need the 4. Lord Krishna also usually displays the 2-arm form. Sometimes he even when he is like at Kurukshetra, he's in his Vasudeva feature, but you don't see 4 arms. Usually it's shown as a 2-arm form. So sometimes Lord Krishna will, although it's in the Vasudeva feature, he will display 2 arms. Just like killing the demons in Vrindavan, it's Vasudeva Krishna who's killing all the demons. But we don't hear 4 arms. We hear something when he goes, like when he's coming to Mathura, when Akrura was bringing Krishna from Vrindavan to Mathura, then they went to take bath, that Akrura Ghat is there. So at that time, then Akrura saw Krishna, he saw Vishnu, and he saw all the demigods all worshipping and chanting the glories of Krishna. He saw that. And he could see also Krishna in the 4-arm form. So sometimes Krishna does reveal 4-arm form. It's a question of how much, what is the particular mood which is being related there by the different devotees. Sometimes he will reveal the 4-arm form. But Narada Muni, his mood is definitely Vaikuntha. And we saw that in Chaitanya Lila when Srivas Pandit was talking with Swarup Damodar at the Hera Panchami during the Rath Yatra festival, when they did the Hera Panchami festival. So Swarup Damodar, of course, is the expansion of Narada Muni in Chaitanya Lila. And Srivas Pandit is the expansion of Narada Muni. So Srivas Pandit says to Swarup Damodar, oh, just look at the opulence of the goddess of fortune, because that's the mood of Vaikuntha, that they think Lord Narayan is the supreme, and the goddess of fortune, she's the supreme consort. They don't think about Radha and Krishna. The mood of Vaikuntha is to worship Lakshmi Narayan. So Srivas Pandit was seeing the goddess of fortune come to the Gundicha to arrest the servants of Jagannath, and they were bowing down to the goddess of fortune. And Srivas Pandit says to Swarup Damodar, oh, look at the greatness of the goddess of fortune. And Swarup Damodar, he says, nothing. Don't you know the opulence of Vrindavan? You're thinking the goddess of fortune is so great. Don't you know the opulence of Vrindavan? In Vrindavan, all the trees are Kalpabriksha trees. And all the cows are Kamadhenu cows. And all the dust is Chintamani. You're thinking the goddess of fortune is so opulent. Nothing compared to the opulence of Vrindavan. But the people of Vrindavan are so much in love with Krishna, they don't desire anything. except to serve Krishna. The cows, all they want is milk. They could get anything from the Kamadhenu cows. All they want is milk to cook and offer to Krishna. And the trees could give everything as well. The Kalpabriksha trees, they could fulfill all desires, but all the people of Vrindavan desire are flowers and fruits to offer to Krishna. So this is the opulence of Vrindavan. So don't you think your goddess of fortune is so great? Not very opulent compared to Vrindavan. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for your class. I have two questions. You mentioned that even the trees in Vrindavan, they are full of consciousness. So one question that I've had is, when devotees have to eat prasadam there, so what do they eat?
What do the trees eat?
Yeah, so if trees are full consciousness, then devotees might not feel like cutting them and eating.
But we have to remember it's a spiritual world, right? In the spiritual world, the trees are spiritual and they have full consciousness. They don't need to eat. They have a spirit, they're spiritual. They may eat, they may not. What do trees usually eat? Trees usually drink water. They drink water through their roots.
Okay, what do the other devotees eat, in spiritual world?
In the spiritual world, what do they eat? Well, they have spiritual bodies, right? If you have a spiritual body, you don't need have to worry about eating and sleeping and these things. Just as we said, there's no sex, there's no thought of sex. Nobody thinks of sex. And the more spiritual our body becomes, the less we'll think about eating and sleeping. Prabhupada told us, he said, I gave up mating and defending when I was a young man. And he said, now in my old age, I've given up eating and sleeping. So the Goswamis of Vrindavan, like Radhanath Das Goswami, practically they would hardly eat or sleep. They hardly ate or slept. He would take a little buttermilk sometimes, but he wouldn't even think about it. He just wouldn't even think about eating because he's so full of love of Krishna. When we become fully Krishna conscious, we won't be thinking about eating and sleeping. Of course, maybe Krishna will invite you to go with him, to sit with him and eat. If you're in Vaikuntha, Lord of Dwarka is there and he will give prasadam, maybe you'll get the remnants of it's very difficult to get the remnants of the Lord. But don't worry, Krishna maintains everyone. Krishna is taking care of everyone. So especially in the spiritual world, you won't have any problem. You don't have to worry.
Thank you, Maharaj. Another question, this my children ask me. So Narada, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Narada is one of the greatest devotees, Shiva Sutta Narada. So Narada sings Narayan, Narayan, but in ISKCON Prabhupada told us that greater than Narayan is Lord Ram's name, and greater than Lord Ram's name is Lord Krishna's name. So why doesn't Narada chant Krishna's name? They ask. So how do I answer that?
Well, he is in Krishna's pastimes, right? Actually, the Lord said, Naham tishtani vaikunte yoginam hridayeshu va tatra tishtani narada yatra gayanti madbhakta. He said, I am not in the Vaikuntha and I'm not in the hearts of the yogis meditating on me, but I am wherever my devotees like Narada are chanting my holy name. So Narada Muni is chanting the holy name. It's not that, oh, he's not chanting Krishna's name. He's chanting the name of the Lord, the Supreme Lord. And he's chanting with pure loving devotion. You know, you can't criticize him. Oh, he's not chanting Krishna's name. He's chanting because he's always chanting. He's got a Veena which was given to him by Lord Krishna. And wherever he goes, he's playing the Veena and singing the glories of the Lord. Now we're chanting, but our chanting is a glimmer of the holy name. You know, our chanting is not we just chant the shadow of the name. Our chanting is often with offenses and without proper attention. But Narada is chanting with pure love and devotion. Don't find fault with him. You can't find fault with, oh, you're only in Vaikuntha, why are you not in Golok? Everyone has their nature. We have to understand different devotees have different natures. So someone by nature is a resident of Vaikuntha, and somebody's nature is to be a resident of Goloka. Don't be proud. Oh, I don't want to be in Vaikuntha. I just want to be in Goloka. But I wouldn't mind to be in Vaikuntha. I don't know. I mean, you know, it's a spiritual world. You know, you go back to Godhead, it may be Vaikuntha, it may be Goloka. It depends, of course, on our devotion. But Vaikuntha is the spiritual world. It's the kingdom of God. And they're chanting the name of the Lord. They're chanting Narayana. Oh, no problem. It's the Lord. They're worshiping the Supreme Lord. It's just a different mood. Different people have different moods. So we can't expect everyone to, oh, Narada Muni should be in Goloka. No, we have to accept him as he is. He's a devotee of Narayan. Okay, Hare Krishna. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Baladev Subramaya Sudarshan ki jai, Lakshmi Shri Bhagavan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you for joining today. We will continue tomorrow morning at 8:30. Hare Krishna. I'll just end the session.